You know that feeling when you're talking to someone and you just know you're not getting the full story? Well, today, we're going to talk about a way to see past all that, to look past the surface. And we're not going to do it by listening to what people say, but by learning to see what they unconsciously show us. We're about to uncover the hidden blueprint of a personality.
So, yeah, how do you get past the mask? Beyond the professional smile or the person they are at a party, what's really driving them? It's a huge question, right? Whether you're trying to figure out a coworker, a partner, or let's be honest, even yourself.
Well, it turns out the secret isn't really in their words at all. It's in their projections. Projections are basically the fears and insecurities we're carrying around inside that we, without even realizing it, see in other people. So if you can spot someone's deepest fears, you can start to see the very architecture of who they are. And we can get even more specific with this idea of a resistant projection. This is what pops up in those moments of friction, when someone feels challenged or questioned. Think about it like this. When you put anything under pressure, its true nature comes out, right? Well, it's in those exact moments of resistance that a person's core motivations just can't help but show themselves. Okay, so what does this actually look like in the real world? The source material for this explainer points to three super common patterns you can learn to spot in just about any conversation. Let's dive into the first one. So this first pattern, I guarantee you've experienced this dozens of times and probably never even realized what was actually going on. It's called habitual questioning.
This is what happens when a simple, direct question gets met not with an answer, but with another kind of disdainful question. So, for example, you ask something totally innocent like, hey, should I peel this apple? And the response you get isn't yes or no, it's, does this even need asking? Don't you know about all the pesticides? And just like that, a simple question about fruit has become a weird test of your intelligence.
So, of course, this has nothing to do with the apple. It's a projection of hostility. This person sees even simple questions as potential attacks, probably because they have a deep-seated fear of being criticized. For them, every single conversation is a potential minefield. All right, the second pattern is a little more subtle, a little sneakier, but it's just as revealing. This one is habitual ignoring. And no, it's not about somebody giving you the silent treatment. It's when someone agrees with you to your face, but then acts like you never said a word. Imagine this. You suggest leaving early to miss the traffic. They're like, yup, great idea. But then they drag their feet. And when you're, of course, stuck in a traffic jam, they snap, well, how was I supposed to know? Your complaining isn't helping. All of a sudden, their delay is your fault.
This is such a classic defense mechanism. By ignoring your advice and then flipping the blame, they're projecting you as some kind of oppressor and casting themselves as the victim. It's a totally passive-aggressive way to dodge responsibility because deep down, their personality is just too fragile to admit they were wrong.
And that brings us to the final pattern we're going to look at, and this one is the most direct and maybe the most frustrating of them all. It's called habitual negation. This is that tendency to just shut someone down before they've even finished a thought. You hear these phrases all the time. You're wrong, or no, that's not how it is. The conversation is basically over before it even had a chance to start. See, this isn't about having a dialogue. It's about delivering a monologue. This person is terrified of new ideas because new information might force them to, well, change. So to protect themselves, they project you as a threat and just build this huge defensive wall by shutting you down first. It makes any real connection completely impossible. So we've got these three patterns: questioning, ignoring, and negating. You might be thinking, okay, they're annoying quirks, but why do these little habits matter so much? Well, because they're not just quirks. They are the very first domino in a long chain reaction that shapes a person's entire life. This is what our source calls the personality pipeline. And just look at how this flows. It all starts with your core personality. Let's say it's one that's prone to fear. That shapes your cognition, which means you interpret neutral things as threatening. That, in turn, triggers the emotion of anxiety, which clouds your judgment, and that leads you to make a defensive choice. That choice then becomes a behavior, like lashing out at someone, which creates a result, pushing people away. And over time, the sum of all those results, that becomes your destiny. It's this powerful, unbroken chain from who you are on the inside to what your life becomes on the outside. Okay, so we've spent all this time learning how to see other people more clearly. But the most profound insight in this whole framework, it comes when we take a final moment to reflect, and we turn that lens right back around on ourselves. And this brings us to the most powerful takeaway of all. As the source says, the others we see in our eyes are, without a doubt, the true us. What does that mean? It means when you see someone else as hostile, or weak, or dismissive, you might actually be seeing a reflection of your own inner world. The way you see others reveals who you really are.
Ultimately, awareness is where it all begins. So after hearing all this, the real question isn't what you've noticed about other people. It's what have you noticed about the projections you're making every single day? What does the world you see say about you? Thanks for joining me.